First of all, what an extraordinary guest Brian Nguyen was last night on the Friedman Adventures live show from 22nd Street in beautiful San Pedro, California. He was a fountain of wisdom and information, and I highly recommend. You can find it on our Facebook page right now, Friedman Adventures on Facebook. You can tune into that show, and Brian goes through all the current fishing and everything that is going on. I'm telling you right now, it is an exceptional show that is sure to make you a better angler, and I thank you, Brian, so very much. I also thank the hundreds and hundreds of people who tuned in live for the show, who are going to watch the archive show now. And we had literally more than 2 hours of constant questions last night. It was a beautiful thing. Thanks to all the members out there of the Friedman Adventures family. I deeply appreciate that. Hey, if you're watching the premiere of this, then you can make a comment. So I'm going to ask you right now, before this happens, by the end of this broadcast, will that rod go off? That's one of my friends fishing back behind me. I'm so happy to see somebody out here. I know what he's doing. He's fishing with sandworms. I've already talked to him. He's an exceptional fisherman, fishing the dead low tide. So that'll give you some kind of an idea of what's going on. And if he starts catching fish, I may say goodbye. Just kidding. I'll finish the report, but I'll be back here at high tide. That is for sure. All right. Let's start you out down south of the border in Ensenada, and those guys down there are still trolling around and coming up with superior big bluefin tuna. Most of them are coming out of Ensenada and hanging a right and going up toward the tuna pens up there off Puerto Nuevo and areas like that. But the fishing has been pretty darn good. There are some misses, but they still are scoring really big, beautiful bluefin, and that is absolutely awesome. I refuse to get used to this bite. I refuse to accept it as something that is just commonplace. It's exceptional. I don't know if this will ever happen again, even though it keeps happening year after year, but it is really a phenomenal bite. So happy to see those guys, the Pongueros and other guys down south of the border, getting in on this. And if you like to take the drive to Ensenada as I do, I love crossing the border. When I hit that border, man, there's a sense of, man, this is awesome. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. And as I have said, we're going to put together a Baja trip probably in November-ish, maybe even the end of October for Dia de los Muertos, and go down there, do some fishing, hand out thousands of pieces of clothing, wheelchairs, and so much more that we have stockpiled for our friends down there who really need our help, thanks to all of you. And so I am looking forward to that. All right, don't forget, make your bets on whether that rod goes off or not. I'm kind of watching it, but you might have to tell me to look behind me. San Diego boys, there were some misses, no question about it. There has been some misses on this fish. And on the other hand, there's been some connections, but guys are just getting worked. I mean, these are big fish, 100 to 200 pound fish down there in San Diego right now, 200 plus pounds. And so you've really got to go tackled up right now. 100 pound, 130 pound is something that's essential right now. 2-speed reels, absolutely mandatory. You talk about magnificent fishing. The weather's good, and these big giant fish, they're sonaring the fish and doing really, really well. And in some cases, it's exceptional fishing. Some guys are ending up with limits. Other guys have missed. We'll continue to monitor it very closely for you. But again, the Grande has been on fire. 26 guys yesterday, 19 bluefin tuna, 18 of those fish over 100 pounds. Absolutely mind-boggling. 36 anglers on the San Diego with 19 bluefin tuna. Those two boats depart at 6 a.m. and are back in at 6 p.m. That makes it even more incredible. Several other boats did have limits. Polaris Supreme, Aliar, once again, we talked about him last night on the show. The guy, he's got it. I mean, whatever that is that makes an exceptional captain and fisherman, Aliar's got it, and he was all over those bluefin. Many other boats also getting in, but as I pointed out, I want you to be aware that there were some misses. So we've talked about that heavy tackle. That is absolutely essential. However, I'm going to harken back to our live show. Brian goes into great detail on what kind of tackle to use, how to use it. You would be very smart if you have a trip coming up to listen to his wise words and advice on this bite, because it is outstanding. How to fish a bait, how to sinker fish, how to use knife jigs, when to use flat falls, all of that. He covers it all. So go back and listen to Brian, fountain of wisdom and information. A lot of this is sinker rig fish right now. So sometimes it's 8 to 12, sometimes it's 12 ounces and heavier, because these fish are down there at 400, 500 feet at times. They're way down the water column. And when you're dropping your bait down, don't bomb on down so your sardine looks like it's been through World War III by the time it gets down there. Nice and slow, you want to get that down there so the sardine can acclimate as it gets down into the water. So once again, we are watching an incredible bite down there in San Diego. For some guys, it has been phenomenal. The weather looks like it's going to be fine. Those guys have been blessed down there with nice weather. When I talk weather, I'm talking about ocean surface. I'm talking about, whether those seas are rough or not whether it's warm, cold, foggy, rainy, none of that. When we talk weather here, we're talking about what the seas are like, and they've been very, very nice, as opposed to up in the Channel Islands where we just are cursed with some bad weather. However, right now, I'll get to that in a moment, those boys will be able to get out and make some hay. That's good. On the coast, now I like the coast right now. I'm thinking we might hopefully get a barracuda bite one of these days very soon. It certainly is time. We have the anchovy and have had it for quite some time. That is a feed that they really like. The water's up there around 64, 65 degrees, a little bit dirty in some areas, and we have seen more and more barracuda as the days go on. And I'm thinking that one of these days, somebody here around the Long Beach, San Pedro area, maybe down south of us, are going to run into some bird schools of gar. You definitely want to be going with some iron right now and be ready with your jig sticks. I know Jeff Yeoman's from the 540 Slingers Club. This is music to his ears. That gar shows up and it can get really, really good. Now, why am I talking about barracuda? Because we see it. It's starting to pop in. A lot of shorts, a few legals. We see it from below the border all the way up to the Channel Islands, where Cody Rogers had a sampling of barracuda a few days ago up in that neck of the woods. So our fingers are crossed that something's going to happen. The reality is still mostly scoping, rockfish, not bad at all for many of the boats that are working the coast right now. Again, down there around Dana, you're seeing some really good action on short calico bass with a few legals. Same thing up here off Long Beach and surrounding areas. So once again, that is starting to look much better. And for the most part, the weather's not going to affect us. We're not going to get too much wind in here. That wind is mostly offshore. So we'll watch that very closely. The reality is, once again, rockfish, sculpin, but a good signal on the other stuff. There's some bass around, and there's some barracuda starting to pop into the counts. Out at Clemente and areas like that, there's some big yellows still out there. Thunderbird was out there. Jeff Markland, outstanding captain there out of Davies Locker, and he had one yellow and copious amounts of bottom fish, so everybody went home with nice full sacks. Amigo with a sampling of those big yellowtail. Most of that fish on the dropper loop. We went into a whole discussion last night on whether to use fluorocarbon when you're dropper looping or not. And the verdict was, according to Brian at least, heck, I like the abrasion resistance of fluorocarbon. That's why I use it when I tie my dropper loops. And that's why we recommend that you do it also. It gives you an edge. And let's say it doesn't give you an edge, okay? So what? Might as well go with it. It's going to give you that abrasion resistance. And just in case, the fish are finicky, maybe you'll get more bites. At night, it seems to not make a difference, but daytime, I would definitely go with it. www.opsonusa.com. Put in FA at checkout, and you'll be all set with Greg Brown. He'll send you a free gift as well as a note for purchasing his line. Amigo is trying to get out tonight out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. Uh-oh. Is he bit back there? The Amigo is going to be going tonight if they can get enough people, and our own Chef Jason will be on board. Chef Jason is the guy who does all our cooking videos, so that should be really outstanding if you get to spend some time with him. He's a really fun guy to hang out with. So Amigo tonight, 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. Hopefully they'll get enough people to go. Incidentally, it's another gorgeous morning here in Surfside. It is absolutely beautiful. Sun is coming up. It's warm, nice calm seas. It's looking really, really good. And we'll see if he comes up with a fish back there. Round stingrays do not count as a fish. It has to be a real fish. And the verdict, I don't know, man. We'll see. Maybe he's pumping in a piece of seaweed. Maybe he's got a round stingray. Maybe he's got a real fish. Catalina Island, I talked to the boys on the pursuit as they were getting in right before our live podcast last night. And they were saying that conditions over there have definitely improved. Conditions are much better. However, still slow on the surface bite. Sign of barracuda, sign of yellowtail, sign of all that stuff. But for the most part, cat is slow. It is very, very tough right now. Hopefully it's going to kick into gear. It could at any moment. And weather-wise, we're going to be okay, I think, here for the foreseeable future. But the weekend, we'll have to watch that. Some of those forecasts are not the greatest. They had Santa Barbara Island, San Nicolas Island. I know guys are dying to get back there because there was such great halibut fishing and there was such great sea bass fishing and those flashes of big yellows. We've got to get back to those venues, but unfortunately this weekend looks like it is going to be really tough. Doesn't look like a real fish. Let me look back there. Can't really see it right now. I think it's, let's see, what is it? Yeah, it looks like a ray or something like that. So at least, you know, he caught something, but that doesn't qualify as a real fish. We'll continue to watch it for you very closely. So Catalina Island on the slower side, not really biting all that well. Water has been mucked up because of all of that wind that we've been having during this springtime. Hopefully it'll clean up and warm up. It's kind of warm right now, but it's just not all that great. So we'll keep watching that island. We'll keep watching Santa Barbara Island. We'll keep watching San Nicolas. Channel Islands, man, you get the feeling they're sitting on a powder keg if they could only get a weather break. The other day, Cody Rogers on the Island Spirit had a beautiful Ventura sport fishing. 805-676-3474. If you'd like to join Cody, give Saul a call up there in the ticket office. Jump on board with them. They are absolutely fantastic. But he found some bass and barracuda. Pretty good surface action. A lot of short fish, but action, action, action. Stayed along the coast to avoid the weather that was brisk, windy offshore, and did pretty darn well. Showed a great amount of life and high hopes that that bite is going to continue to head in the right direction. So our fingers are crossed on that one, but it looks like they're going to get some weather again this weekend. It's a forecast. We'll wait until we get a little bit closer to it, but hopefully they're going to get a break up there because they could certainly use it. Santa Barbara, the Stardust was out, had limits of rockfish with some really excellent fishing. That continues to go on very, very well. Now, tonight on these beaches in Southern California, not only here in northern Baja, there should be more Grunion coming ashore. And if you've never witnessed that spectacle of nature, I highly recommend you grab the kids sometime and go and do it. We'll see what happens. A lot of times during Grunion runs, fishing is slow, and I surmise because the fish are just full. They've been gorging on all this bait. But at other times, you see some really good activity. And of course, all that Grunion coming onto the beach just really gets the whole food chain going. And all those predators like to follow it in here. Halibut, yellowfin croaker, spotfin croaker, all those species love to get in here and get on the bite. So we are going to watch that for you and see what happens. I'll probably come down here around 12 noon and I'll probably match the hatch. I've got some frozen Grunion up at the house, so I think I'll fish some Grunion. Of course, I will dig up sandworms. I won't have time to soak them in the protein mix, but we'll try to use some sandworms. He's using them, and hopefully I see him catch some fish. He's fishing the low, and we'll be fishing the high tide. So I just talked to Sean Hardigan. Sean runs the Mission Bell out of Point Loma Sport Fishing, and he is poking his nose out right now, headed out to that bluefin tuna area. Again, most of the lures that have been working best are the heavies right now, anywhere from 200 to 400 plus grams, probably edging toward like 300, 400, because those fish are so deep right now that you want to get down on them. And those knife jigs have a tendency to get down better than anything. Zacanas are also working, flat falls, all those jigs are working, but the heavier ones right now seem to be doing the trick. And you can't go down to San Diego right now on these 6 a.m. trips or overnight trips or 2-day trips outgunned. You've got to have 2-speed reels. You've got to have 100-pound. You've got to go prepared. It's the only way for you to get one of these fish. There has been that smattering of kelp patty yellowtail, 5 to 15 pounds. A lot of guys are, they're so focused on this giant bluefin that they are ignoring those smaller yellowtail and the kelp patties, because, you have an opportunity to catch bluefin tuna that are 200 pounds right near Point Loma right now. That is a pretty incredible angling opportunity. But having said that, you roll up on a kelp, you might want to catch some of those yellows, and you're going to want to have some 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. See how that works for you. All right, gorgeous morning. I guess, should I drag this out a little longer for those of you who made the bet that he would catch a real fish? I'm afraid I can't do that. I need to get up there and get rigged up myself. So have a great day, everybody. I appreciate you joining us for another morning briefing. Incredible fishing for some down there in San Diego. I'm so impressed with boats that leave at 6 a.m. and come back at 6 p.m. with the fish of a lifetime. And I'll remind you all to take a listen to Brian Nguyen. His fabulous live broadcast last night is just loaded with so much information. Over 2 hours of constant questions from the Friedman Adventures family. I thank you so much. You have helped us to soar to new heights. Please give us a like. Please give us a like this morning. It really helps us a lot, and I deeply appreciate it. So smash that like button right now. And we have soared up over 8,000 hours of content in the last 28 days. All of that thanks to you, and I really can't express my gratitude enough to each and every one of you. All right, I dragged it out a little longer and you still didn't get a bite. Take care, my friends. Thanks for joining us on the morning briefing here on Friedman Adventures. We'll see you again really soon. Oh, biter. Is it a shark? Yeah. Does this count? This is late footage. I guess I finished my report, so it doesn't count. But shoot, let's figure it out and see what he's got here. Running him up the beach.